Hello everyone. Well, as you can tell from the title, this is a video about the cliches in fantasy. We all know that every fantasy story, no matter what it is, always has a certain amount of cliches in it, always has a certain amount of tropes. A lot of these are really good, a lot of them are really fun to see, and they help make fantasy what it is. However, there definitely are some that just cause no end of grief. Some of it is things that you would like, some of it is things that I would hate. It just depends on the person, but fantasy in particular has these cliches that I'm going to list for you. Every one of these cliches are ones that I've seen in some fantasy story or another, and each one of them just drives me nuts after a while. You're free to disagree, you're free to agree. But this is all opinion based, but it's all something that I think could really, really improve the genre if we could get rid of it or think of it in some different way. And without further ado, let's start this 12-point list. Well, you probably knew this one was coming. In all fantasy stories out there is eventually a battle, whether it's one-on-one or whether it's just gigantic spread of armies clashing into one another. It doesn't really matter. There is always a giant battle that concludes or at least leads up to the conclusion of the story. A lot of these can be really fun to watch. However, there are times when these battles are really badly done, and that's when this comes into play. An example, okay, I can't draw a specific one out of my head at this point, but to describe it. A set of countries that have been at war for years, not just years, decades, centuries, sometimes even millennia. These people will be fighting for so long that they should be dead. All the resources should be gone, all their soldiers should be exhausted, there should be nothing left. However, they've been not just surviving, but either A, winning, or B, they've been actually able to stay in the same place, the same technology level for this entire time. This is not how it works. Countries that stay in war for this long should be gone, regardless of any sort of magic, regardless of any sort of advantages they might have. There is no way to sustain war that long, unless you're completely unrealistic, and that's where the trope comes into play. That's where the cliche comes into play. When this happens, it immediately starts being rule of cool only, usually involves bad characters, usually involves bad planning, and it's just there because the author wants it there. It needs to stop. Period. Now, as I said, some of these things on the list are going to be more opinion-based than anything that's actually all that prevalent or all that annoying to other people. This is one of them. You may not quite understand what I mean by the cliche of an inexplicable love interest. I'm talking about the kind of thing that happens when a villain or a villainess falls in love with the hero or another main character for no reason whatsoever. It drives me utterly insane because all it does is make things easier for the hero. It takes away conflict, it takes away any believability in the villain, it takes away so much. And it seems like the author is just being lazy, or he's doing it because he wants wish fulfillment. Because for the life of me, most of the time when I see this, I can't understand how any sort of chemistry, any sort of love can develop from these characters. It makes me wonder, where is the logic? Is it in someone else's head? Is it out on vacation? I don't know. Someone explain that one to me. The next point I have to make is something that's big on a lot of bad fantasy lists. You're probably really familiar with this one. The villain who always wants to do one of three things. Take over the world, destroy it, or plunge it into darkness. He gives no reason for it. He gives nothing as a motivation other than he wants to do this thing. I don't understand why he does it. It makes for a bad villain because you can't really understand him. It's the evil for no purpose. All evil, all things that do these sort of things have a purpose. It doesn't matter just what it is, but they have to have a purpose. Otherwise, it just becomes unbelievable. It becomes a problem to the story, and you're just wondering, why did he get this way? You wonder why he's doing it, but you'll never know. It's frustrating, and it just, again, you got to wonder what the author was thinking. I chalk it up to laziness personally, because I've written some stuff myself. It's not that hard to come up with a believable villain. So why do people keep coming up with the evil for no reason ones? Why do people keep making it so unbelievable? Why do people keep making it so boring? I don't know. And it's just another thing that has to change. This is one that this is one that has to go. This is one that just has to go, because there is no way to make evil for no reason something to keep. It just doesn't fit in fantasy anymore. We used to be able to make it, but we can't. This is something that has to go. All too often, this particular trope is linked to the one that came before it. This is the chosen one, the prophesied one, the hero that is destined to do battle with the darkness and save everyone from whatever is coming. The question is, how does anyone know this guy is the prophesied one? How does anyone know he's the chosen one? Okay, some of them do come with reason. Some of them actually come with prophecies that he needs to be. That's not so bad, and that's something that I can actually get behind, because it means it's not some nameless mook that's just coming into it. Again, I don't mind a nameless guy coming in as a hero. It's kind of fun sometimes so a regular guy can do this. I like that. I like that. But someone who's a chosen one either comes in as a liar pretending to be, or this destiny child that can do no wrong. Both of these things the liar can provide a little entertainment, I'll admit, but it's starting to get a little overdone. Can still be done, but let's try to bring that back a little. But the destiny child who can do no wrong, this is dangerously close to Mary Sue territory. And when we get to Mary Sue territory, no. Just no. That belongs in fan fiction, and bad fan fiction at that. You do not put that into good publishable fiction. No. That is death sentence to your book. And death sentence to anything that you want to actually put out as good fantasy. This particular trope has problems. Well, not problem. Let me start that over. This particular trope has been seen in science fiction, alternate history, fantasy, and pretty much any genre that works as fiction and adventure fiction at that. Most people, when they're putting together something in their own little world, tend to have polar opposites in terms of political entities. They'll have, all too often, an evil empire and the good but weak rebellion that is trying to overthrow it. Or they will have the noble people who are trying so hard to just make the lives of their people better, with the criminals that are trying to overthrow them. This kind of black and white politics does not exist, except in your own little world. And even there, look, we have more imagination than this. We know that no human being is black and white. Since political entities are not black and white, political entities aren't black and white because they're made of people. That's the point I was trying to make. Anyway, stop it. Stop making these pathetic governments, these pathetic political entities. Make them interesting. Make it so that they actually resemble what they're supposed to be. You make it interesting, it'll make things better. There is no black and white in government. There's no all good government. There's no all good rebellion. There is nothing that is all good. There is nothing that is all evil. Remember that. It's something that'll make it better.